I can't tell you how much I love designing printables. I could sit for hours doing it. And now that I coach others how to make and sell printables on Etsy, I know that I'm not alone. I get emails from so many of my students who say that they could spend all day designing. And I love that because that's the whole point of starting a printables business. It's having the ability to make money while doing something you really love. Getting lost in the design process can certainly be a relaxing and fun state to be in. But in order to get into that flow state where you're just designing for hours on end, you've got to first figure out what you're going to create. So let's talk about how to get inspiration for designing printables to sell on Etsy. The very first step in getting inspiration for your printable designs is to figure out your niche. What printables do you want to sell? This part is all about figuring out what's on your heart to start making. You probably saw something that inspired you to think about selling printables, and you thought that could be fun to do. Think back to what that was. What was it about that that made you want to start? Was it that you thought that you could do something similar but way cuter, obviously? Maybe it was the idea behind it. It was a sign from the universe that it's something that you should go for. Don't let that slip away. Grab it and get going. If you're still struggling to figure out your niche, you can take my free training that will help you nail your printables niche over at atouchofla.com/niche. And once you pick your niche, it's time to start designing. Now, at first, it might feel a bit intimidating to come up with a big list of designs that you could craft up to sell on Etsy. But believe me, there are so many great places to get inspiration for selling printables. The very first way to get inspiration for your printable designs is through analyzing market trends. You can get up to date with the latest trends to see what's popular by scrolling Pinterest or Etsy. That's kind of the easiest job ever, right? Look for colors, patterns, sayings, and other things that seem to be a big deal in the current market. The second way to get inspiration for your designs is to collaborate with others. Ask your friends or family what kinds of printables might be helpful to them. It might especially be helpful for the people in your lives that run small businesses or households. And when it comes to collaborating, I don't just mean the ones IRL, in real life. Use people you follow on social media like bloggers, influencers, or small businesses that you follow. Ask them how you can create something for them for free to sell later on Etsy. Number 3 is to check out the competition. Now, most of the time, I would tell you that looking at your competition is a bad idea. But in some cases, as long as you have the right mindset, you can take a look at what other Etsy shops are selling and see if there are any gaps that you could fill in with your own unique designs. The fourth way to get inspiration for your printables designs is to solve a problem. Think about problems that people have and create printables that solve those problems. There are an endless supply of problems out there. Am I right? Here's a great example. One of my students recently had a very sick relative who was in hospice, and she was excited and inspired to create printables that both the family and the nurses could use to keep track of their relative's daily routine, their medications, their schedule, important phone numbers, and on and on. As someone who's gone through a very similar situation, I knew immediately that she was onto something, and I loved all the ideas that she was coming up with. Sometimes printables ideas are right under our noses, and that brings me to the 5th way to get inspiration for your printables designs, and my number 1 suggestion, and that is to look at what you need in your own life. For example, I have a daughter that I love to make printables for. I get endless inspiration from her on the daily, whether it be something she could use at daycare or at school with her friends or at home. I'm always using her as my guinea pig. For example, when she was starting kindergarten, I noticed that she wanted to plan play dates with all of her new classmates. The only problem? I didn't know any of their names or how to get in contact with their parents. That's what inspired these playdate cards. Not only did they help me plan playdates for my daughter, but I was able to make friends with the class moms, so it was a total win for both of us. Seeing how well they worked out in my own life, I immediately listed them on Etsy and started making sales. Want to know the funniest part? They went viral on TikTok. Yep, some mom with a good following found them on Etsy and shared them on one of her videos, and my sales were soaring for days. and I wasn't even on TikTok. And all because my daughter wanted to make new friends in kindergarten. And that's why looking at what you have around you and using your own life for ideas is my number one place to get inspiration for designing printables. As I mentioned, these things are right under our noses, and sometimes we just have to really stop and listen to that intuition that is telling us what to do next. Oftentimes we get stuck in indecision when the answers are all around us. Do you have ideas for how to get inspiration for printables designs? If so, drop them in the comments below, and I'm excited to hear your ideas. I hope this video was helpful to you, and I will see you in the next video.